When it finally happened, I wasn't even thinking about it. My whistling simply echoed around me in the happy, ecstatic trills that I called whistling for God. But after 42 long years, Daddy finally asked me, "Son, how did you ever learn to whistle like that?" And my heart stopped, because once upon a time I would have moved heaven and earth just to hear him ask that question. My thoughts raced backwards to that day around the hot stove with the radio playing. "You done it, Daddy," I told him. "You taught me how." Well, he didn't believe it. Daddy shook his head. "No. Nobody in our family knows how to whistle, son. I didn't teach you how." And the years were stripped away more surely than ever. "Yeah, you did, Daddy. You taught me how. When we lived on Naramore Ranch, you told me that you had always wanted to whistle, but never learned how. You said that if I ever learned how to whistle a tune, you'd give me $1. He tried to remember. He almost remembered. Then he remembered how true it might have been. His eyes grew misty, and mine glistened too as I continued. "Boy, Daddy, I practiced for months, but my mouth just wasn't made right. All I could ever get was some piercing shrieks. I must have given up on the project 1,000 times. Only, I never give up on anything important I'm trying to do. So I always came back to give it another shot. Sometimes my whistle would get a little better, and I'd think, hey, this is good enough. So I'd sneak in close beside you and try to whistle you a tune. You never said nothing. Never a word. I don't think you even heard. Most of the time you never even looked at me when I tried. So I'd know I wasn't really whistling, and I'd give up again. Only I never give up on anything important. And I kept coming back to it. I knew that someday I'd be good enough. Someday I'd whistle a tune so good that you knew it was a tune. I was going to earn that $1. And boy, many a time when I needed that $1, I'd fly into practicing again even though you were 100 miles away. Finally I'd done it. It was years later. Down in a foxhole in Korea, I whistled a real tune. I was so excited I could hardly wait to get home and strut my stuff in front of you. I practiced on that one tune for months. Only, when I finally got home and whistled, your head just turned the other way. After all that practicing, I still wasn't good enough to whistle you a real tune. I started praying every night for God to teach me how to whistle. I gave up again, and again. But I just kept praying harder, every night. I taught myself how to pray like I meant it. And I kept coming back to practice my whistling all over again because I was determined to earn that $1 from you if it was the last thing I ever did on earth. Over the last 4 decades I must have whistled a tune for you 1,000 times. But you never seemed to hear me, Daddy. I had to pause and turn away from him, praying my tears would stop. They didn't. I kept my back turned to him and said, as best as I could, "Finally I realized your promise had been given on the spur of the moment, that you had intended for me to learn how to whistle that very week, or probably even that day. And then you'd forgotten about it when I let you down on yet one more thing." But even then I never quit praying and I never quit practicing because I knew that whistling had meant something important to you once, and just maybe you was feeling a little pleasure those times when I whistled near you. I still ain't good. But Daddy, I'm the best whistler God will ever let me be. When my tears finally run dry, I turned around. I saw tears, silver tears, squinting from Daddy's gray eyes. "Son," he said as he turned away from me, "just hearing the way you've learned to whistle is worth $1,000 to me." And just hearing him say that was worth more than all the money in the world to me. My eyes were glistening so badly I could hardly open the door fast enough to hurry outside before my heart busted open. I felt like it was time to begin whistling for God.